Chapter 1. The Ghosts. Papa was from Virginia, a handsome, slim young man of 29, with elegant manners and fastidious dress. Extremely proud of his lineage, he thought of himself as a Southern gentleman. He maintained an air of reserve and cultivated a pose of aloofness, although he was articulate and a good speaker. A lawyer, a member of the Democratic Party, the elected district attorney of Los Angeles County, he aspired to a political or judicial career. He wore a floppy mustache, perhaps to cover his sensitive mouth. Mama was born in Southern California, the daughter of a pioneer settler named Wilson. In those parts, the Wilson name meant something. She possessed the social graces and played the piano, a sign of the family's affluence. At 24, she was dignified, though capable of the unexpected jest, and sure and firm in her actions. She radiated strength and no nonsense. Married a year, the young couple lived in the Wilson home, a modest yet spacious ranch house overlooking Lake Vineyard and called by that name. Above them towered the San Gabriel Mountains. Below them, on a gently sloping plain, could be seen in the distance the Episcopal Church of Our Savior, where they worshipped, and, farther away, the old Spanish mission. In this setting at Lake Vineyard, Mama and Papa had a son on November 11, 1885. They named him George Smith Patton, Jr., after his father and grandfather. A sickly infant whose nurse, Mary Scally, feared he would die in the first few months. He grew into a strong and healthy, exuberant child. Soon after his birth, the Pattons moved to Los Angeles, 12 miles to the southwest, so that Papa could be closer to his work. 2 years later they had a daughter, whom they christened Anne, and who came to be known as Nita, or Anita. Although they lived in town, they spent much time at Lake Vineyard, and Georgie and Nita had the impression of growing up there in the country. The Patton children adored Papa. He was with them, it seemed, all the time. He took them fishing and sailing, taught them how to ride a horse and to shoot a rifle. They liked to play soldier, and Nita was a major while I claimed to be a private, which I thought was superior. Every morning Papa saluted them and asked how the private and the major were. Later, Georgie called himself under his breath Georgie S. Patton, Jr., Lieutenant General, and Papa made him a wooden sword and showed him how to build a fort. The bond between Papa and his tow-headed son was unusually strong and close. When Georgie said good-night to his parents, he showered Papa with kisses, was more restrained with Mama. He recognized his father's distaste for the exertions of outdoor life, and loved him more because of his efforts for Georgie's sake. Georgie always needed to be active and to exercise vigorously. In the evenings, he and Nita spent hours in Papa's lap or by his side, listening as he read aloud to them. This, too, was mainly for Georgie's benefit. For although he was bright and intelligent and bursting with energy, he was unable to read and to write. To him, the letters on the printed page appeared upside down or reversed. Half a century later, physicians and educators recognized this sort of abnormality and gave it the name dyslexia. Still later, they identified a similar neurological chemical condition they called attention deficit disorder. Symptoms of both include feelings of inadequacy, a frustration with books and studies, a limited span of concentration, an impairment of the learning process, and the need to compensate for the deficiency by accomplishment in other areas. Georgie had all of these. His parents hardly comprehended his strange affliction, but they were extremely patient with him and enveloped him in affection. They kept him out of school, where the taunts of classmates and their cruel laughter at apparently stupid mistakes of pronunciation and penmanship might have seared his soul. They hired tutors and coaches to help him overcome his disability. They let him express his high spirits however he could, and encouraged him to vent his frustrations in physical activity.